everything that we do here at OneStone, we're working with the design thinking process.
Yep.
So this process was designed by the Stanford Design School.
Yep.
I'm sure you know a bit about it.
Yeah.
But these are really the steps that we try to follow, and we follow these pretty much through any project that we do here, where we're working with human-centered design and trying to make a design for students or for people, for anyone in the community, but by students.
Gotcha.
So with any
okay.
project, we start up here with understanding and empathizing. And we have these side by side because really to solve a problem, you first have to know what you're solving. So you have to do some research and some community work to understand what you're solving. And then we have empathize up here. And really you empathize throughout the entire process if you're creating something for people. But you are starting out with a lot of empathy and you're really trying to dig deep into the group of people that you're working to solve for, to make sure that you're solving a problem that you know they have the problem with, and you're making a solution that you know that they will use. And so you continue, once you really understand and you've empathized, you know what you're trying to solve, then you can define your problem and create pretty much a solid definition that will really drive your project forward. And then we've got ideate, and up here we have a funky little term, so we have the idea of 51ing it. So here at OneStone, we are really pushing for those innovative ideas. So we believe that the first 50 ideas are really the ideas that have been done and have been brought up in other meetings, but we're really pushing for that 51st idea. So the idea of getting past 50 ideas can be really daunting, and if I were to sit down right now and come up with 50 ideas, I'd probably think that I couldn't do it at first. But here at OneStone, we are really pushing to try to get those 50 ideas out and then come up with the groundbreaking 51st idea. And then once we have different ideas, then we move into prototyping and testing, and from there we can kind of refine our ideas and make sure that, especially using empathy, make sure that this is something that is really solving our problem and that our community and users will end up wanting. And then once you've prototyped and tested, then we can implement a project.
What do you mean by test? Like what?
Yeah, so prototyping and testing, you're building out an idea of what your project will be, and then you're going to the people that would be using your project, your end users, and you're asking them for feedback. So something that we have here at OneStone, we have a lot of feedback. So it can be pretty hard to really go into a project and just say, here's my one idea. I believe that this will solve your problem. But if you're going in and you're prototyping and testing different ideas, then you're getting feedback, and then you can make your ideas a lot better than just following one problem or one idea through. And then finally, once you have a solution that you believe will work and that you've prototyped and tested, then you can implement it. So this is pretty much like your final hoorah. You're implementing this idea, and hopefully it's something that can live throughout your community. But you are giving it to your community, and then you move into evaluating and reflecting before you can start the cycle again. So you have to make sure that you've evaluated and reflected, and that you've created a project that you really feel proud of, and that you feel has actually addressed the needs and wants of the community that you've worked with, and then you can really start the process all over again.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. You like it?
Yeah, I love this. I really use this. So I use this here at OneStone, but then of course, like in any other aspect of my life where I'm trying to solve a problem, I don't go in and just say, I learned this at OneStone, but I'm not going to think about it now. I really dive in and I'm like, well, how can we make sure that this is a problem that needs to be solved? Have we defined this? And is this, like, have we worked with the people to make sure that this is a solution that they want? So really everything that I do outside of OneStone as well as here at OneStone, I'm going through this process.
So how did that link happen for you? How is it that you're activating this and using it outside in your life?
Yeah.
Because in a lot of schools, students are learning things, but they don't actually carry it to the real world. So
yeah. So this kind of happened a little bit more naturally for me. I started. At first I was participating in robotics and building a robot. There's not a whole lot of empathy that I felt went into that. Obviously a ton of research and a ton of prototyping and testing, but there were certain aspects that I felt like I was not really tapping into as much. And kind of like naturally my passions kind of shifted more towards international relations and political science. So I started participating in Model United Nations. And Model United Nations is an opportunity for students to take on the perspective of a country and work to solve global issues. So this is super relevant in the world of Model UN because as a delegate representing a country's views, I'm going into a conference trying to solve a problem. And so I need to make sure that I'm walking through this and that I've done my research, I understand my problem, and that I've defined what I'm trying to solve. And then I can go into my committee and really work with people to really empathize and understand what other countries' views are. And then, of course, we're coming up with ideas, really trying to create a solution that won't be shot down by other members of our community or of our committee. And then, of course, you're prototyping and testing and iterating on your ideas. And then you do finally implement it through creating a resolution. And then you, of course, evaluate and reflect before going back to your next conference and doing the process again.
So did you just take that leap and make the connection between this and that, or?
Yeah, I kind of started doing it and didn't really realize. But then Chad especially was like, hey, so you guys realize that you are solving problems, and something that we have is the design thinking process, and that helps you solve problems. So really think about that and be intentional. And it took me a little bit to realize that that's what I had been doing. But I started doing it, and I started just diving in, and I realized that was something I had kind of been tapping into all along, but I had just gotten better at.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah.